In this novel Filr video, I'm going to show you how to configure LDAP synchronization for your Filr system. When using this video to help you configure LDAP synchronization, we recommend that you also view the Configuring LDAP section in the Filr Administration Guide. This section contains more detailed information about the configuration process. To begin, log into the Filr system as the Filr administrator. Then access the administration console. Under System, click LDAP. Then click Add a new LDAP source. Type the LDAP server URL and specify the user DN and password of the proxy user. This user must have sufficient rights to access all of the users and groups that you want to import into Filr from the LDAP directory. Use an LDAP browser to make sure that the user has sufficient rights in the directory. In an LDAP browser of your choice, specify the information to access your LDAP directory. Use the same user DN user that you plan to use for the Filr LDAP synchronization. Then use the LDAP browser to locate the base DN that contains the users and groups that you want to import into Filr. If you are able to see the users and groups through the LDAP browser, this means that the correct users and groups will be imported into Filr via the LDAP synchronization process. Because you were able to see the users and groups in the LDAP browser, this means that you can use this user as the user DN in the LDAP synchronization. Next, specify the LDAP attribute that uniquely identifies a user or group. This attribute must be set in order to ensure that users and groups can be modified and still maintain their unique identity. We recommend that for eDirectory you use GUID, and for Active Directory you use Object GUID. Because I'm configuring Filr with eDirectory, I'm going to use GUID for this attribute. Now specify the LDAP attribute that is used for the Filr name. This is the attribute that Filr uses for the user's username. This attribute must be unique. You should consult with your directory administrator to determine the attribute that is best to use. For eDirectory, a common attribute to use is CN. For Active Directory, a common attribute is the SAM account name. Be aware that Filr does not distinguish context when creating users. If there are two users with the same CN attribute in different organization units, only one of the users is created. For example, you cannot have two users with a CN of Bill, even if one of those users is in the marketing organization, and the other is in the sales organization. In the base DN field, specify the user container where you want Filr to find users. This is the field where you can filter the users that you want brought into the Filr system. The format you use to specify a base DN depends on your directory service. Take note of the format for eDirectory and Active Directory shown here. In the Filter section, you can adjust the filter to provision only a subset of users in Filr. For example, you might have 20,000 users in the directory, but you only want 500 of those users to be provisioned in Filr. For specific information about how to adjust the filter, see TID number 70123997, in the Novell Support Knowledge Base, at novell.com/support. Because file permissions often are applied to groups rather than individual users, it is important that you synchronize group membership to Filr in order for all file permissions to be brought into Filr. Users who have access to a file through group membership can access that file in Filr only if the group membership is synchronized. In the Group section, click Add. Then specify the group container where you want Filr to find groups. You can click Add, again, to add additional DNs for groups. After you configure the base DNs, for user and group synchronization, you can now decide when the LDAP synchronization will run. You can set up a schedule for the LDAP synchronization. Run the synchronization immediately, or both. In this demo, I'm going to enable a schedule for the synchronization. I'm also going to run the synchronization immediately. For the sync schedule, I'll configure the synchronization to occur once a week, at off-peak hours. Next, select to synchronize user profiles. This synchronizes user information after the initial setup of the Filr site. Information is synchronized anytime information in the LDAP directory changes. The attributes that are synchronized are the attributes that are found in the map box of the Users section. To add LDAP users to the Filr site at the time of the LDAP synchronization, select to register LDAP user profiles automatically. If you do not select this option, user accounts are created only after users log into the Filr site for the first time. You must select this option if you plan to set up net folders after configuring LDAP, so that users exist in the system at the time that you want to assign net folder rights to those users. We recommend that you do not select the option to delete users that are not in LDAP, because a deleted user cannot be restored. When you leave this option unselected, users that have been deleted from the LDAP directory are simply disabled in Filr. Next, select the time zone and locale to use when creating new users. If you do not set the locale configuration setting correctly before you run the initial LDAP synchronization, the language that Filr is displayed in will be incorrect, and you will have to change the locale for users manually, on a per-user basis. Leave Synchronize Group Profiles selected, to synchronize group information to the Filr site, such as the group description. Next, select to register LDAP Group Profiles automatically, to synchronize the LDAP groups that you identified earlier, in the Groups section, to the Filr site. This ensures that users who have access rights to files through a group membership will have access to the same files within Filr. This also allows users to share files and folders with groups that have already been defined in your LDAP directory. To ensure that the Filr group includes the same users as the group in your LDAP directory, select Synchronize Group Membership. If you do not select this option, and you make changes to group membership in the LDAP directory, the changes are not reflected on your Filr site. If you want groups that you have already deleted in your LDAP directory to also be deleted in Filr, or if you have created groups within Filr that you want to be deleted, select to delete local groups that are not in LDAP. Otherwise, leave this option unselected. To begin the synchronization, click Apply. The users and groups that were synchronized to the Filr system are displayed in the dialog box. After the synchronization completes, you can view the users. You can also view the groups that were synchronized. This has been a demonstration about synchronizing users and groups to Filr from an LDAP directory. For more detailed information, see Configuring LDAP in the Filr Administration Guide at novell.com/documentation.